Hello, class. Today we'll talk about the beauty of Annabel Lee. Well, Annabel Lee was written by Allan Poe. Annabel Lee was considered as Poe's wife, Virginia. Now let's have a detailed discussion about this poem, Annabel Lee. Firstly, let's look at this poetry. I'll read this poetry. Please feel the feelings in this poetry. It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived whom you may know by the name of Annabel Lee. And this maiden she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. She was a child, and I was a child, in this kingdom by the sea. But we loved with a love that was more than love. I and my Annabel Lee, with a love that the winged servants of heaven coveted her and me. And this was the reason that, long ago, in this kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud by night chilling my Annabel Lee, so that her high-born kinsman came, and bore her away from me, to shut her up in the selfen in this kingdom by the sea. The angels, not half so happy in the heaven, went evening her and me. Yes, that was the reason, as all men knew, in this kingdom by the sea, that the wind came out of the cloud, chilling and killing my Annabel Lee. But our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who were older than we, of many far wiser than we, and neither the angels in heaven above nor the demons down under the sea can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabel Lee. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And the stars never rise, but I see the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And so, all the night tide, I lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride, in the self chair there by the sea, in her tomb by the side of the sea. Okay, this is a poem. And from this poetry, we can see Annabel Lee, the theme of Annabel Lee. This is one of the best American love poems, and the theme is eternal love. And in this poetry, the author using simple diction, subtle rhetoric to reveal the immortal subject love. Now, I'd like to talk about the three beauty in Annabel Lee firstly. The first one is brevity. This poetry, Annabel Lee, is relatively short in terms of length. It has 6 stanzas. The shortness of poems is also a kind of beauty, I think. Although the poem is short, it contains rich meanings, which also reflects the beauty of this poem. This is the brevity beauty in this poem. And the second one is purity. In this poem, what we see is all the scene depicted by the author, not the author's evaluation and enlightenment of us. He is only an objective expression, not teaching us readers how to do about this. I think the author only expresses this poem and does not allow poetry to become a tool of enlightenment. This is a kind of purity, or we can say it as pure beauty. The next one is beauty, melancholy beauty. Well, we can see this poetry describes the death of Annabel Lee. Yes, so this poem tells about the death of a beauty named Annabel Lee. In the eyes of Allan Poe, beauty is melancholy, especially the death of a beautiful woman is the most beautiful thing. From this poem, we can feel this desolate beauty. Mechanologic. Okay.
Now let's learn about the phonology. In this poem, the poet used a variety of different rhyming methods in which the ending rhyme runs through the whole poem. The even-numbered lines in the poem are rhymed with Lee, we, see, me at the end of line. Although the last rhyme is the most used in English poetry, this poem uses the same rhyme as the ending rhyme, which is rare in English poetry. This fully shows that the poet's ingenious rhyme methods integrates the beauty of music into the poem. In addition to the final rhyme, alliteration and harmony are also used in poems. For example, in the fourth stanza, the angels not half so happy in heaven. The poet uses three words half, happy and heaven, as well as now the demons down under the sea in the fifth verse. Demon and down realize the rhyming method of alliteration, which makes the words read compact and coherent, and it sounds harmonious and pleasant. Another example is the chilling and killing, my Annabel Lee line in the fourth verse, chilling and killing, which uses the same harmonic rhyming method of the two accident syllables with the same vowels, which plays a cohesive role at the phonological level and from semantically speaking, it was a code that took away Annabel Lee's laugh, and the two echoed each other.
English poetry generally doesn't adhere to the same metric from beginning to end, and there is no fixed rhythm in this poem in general. In the first verse of the poem, the steps at the end of each line use iambic. Due to the strong oral force when accented syllables and pronounced is more laborious and slow to read than Latin syllables. So iambic is read it seems relevantly calm. So at the beginning of the poem, the poet sells a down and melancholic tone, allowing readers to blend into a sad atmosphere. In the second verse, the poet describes the love and harmony with his lover, and the harmonies and sweet of life. So the poet uses fewer accented syllables, and the rhythm is obvious fast and more cheerful than the first verse. The third verse describes the power from the sky and the power from the woman's relatives, forcibly snatching the lover from the poet and separating the two. In the first stanza, the lover was taken away from his life and young died early, and the poet suffered pain celebration for this. Although these two words don't have a fixed rhythm, the number of stressed syllables has increased significantly, which is in sharp contrast with the rhythm of the second verse. In the last verse, in order to express his unwavering love, the poet adopted an iambic three-step and four-step metric pattern. The fixed metric appeared at the end of poetry also made the rhythm of the poem appear neat and uniform. It also reflects the poet's perseverance and persistent pursuit of love. From the perspective of phonetics, long vowels are widely used in the poem, and the interval between syllables is bound to be extended, so the oral rhythm of the poem appears to be more relaxed and down. However, there are differences in the rhythm of each verse. For example, in the second verse, the use of unvast syllables is more, and the rhythm is more rapid. In the third stanza, the consonants T and D are used to end the verse, so the rhythm is clear and neat. In the last verse, the poet used said, bread, tide, lie, rise, and the continuous use of death sounds is the rhythm of the poem.
Okay, let's talk about the part of the beauty of sadness and melancholy. Generally speaking, death is closely related to sadness and depression. However, in the eyes of Edgar Allan Poe, sadness is beautiful, and so is melancholy. Therefore, death is also beautiful because of sadness and melancholy. He once said in the article, The Philosophy of Creation, I ask myself, according to people's general understanding, what's the most melancholy topic among all the melancholy topics? Obviously, death. When is this most melancholy topic? Is it poetic? The answer is obvious. That is when the topic is connected with beauty. The disappearance of a beautiful woman in her most beautiful years is even more stunning and shocking, adding a melancholy and unique beauty to death. This unique depth of beauty appeared in Poe's poems, and Annabel Lee, which was published after the poet's death, is a typical representative of this type of work, and is known as the pinnacle of death aesthetics. Although the poem may describe any woman in Poe's life, most people think that Annabel Lee is the incarnation of his dead wife, Virginia. Virginia married Poe at the age of 13 and died in 1847. He was less than 25 years old. In the poem, Poe used many images to express the beauty of sadness and melancholy death, such as the old wind that brings disease, the ocean and the tomb that symbolize life and death.
The love between the poet and Annabel is pure and romantic. A lot of images are also used in the poem to describe this romantic beauty. For example, the story takes place in a country by the sea a long, long time ago, which is like a fairy tale. Just like Romeo and Juliet in Shakespeare's writings, both of them were childhood sweethearts, and they fell in love without guessing. However, this pure, almost impurity-free love may not be understood by the world and the family. Even the seraphs in the sky, evil me and her. So Annabel's life was taken away by a supernatural force. Obviously, in reality, Annabel is likely to be killed by an evil disease, but the poet attributed her death to the jealous of angels, and Annabel's uh, death was cast in a fairy tale-like romance. In the poem, the poet carefully avoided the word death. Perhaps for the poet, Annabel is not death. Readers can also feel that a beautiful girl is sick and death is approaching step by step. Although people believe that there is spirit after death, people are generally afraid of death. Believing that after death, people cannot come back to life and cannot get in touch with the living. Allan Poe blurs the boundary between death and life. Neither the angels in the sky nor the demons on the seabed can separate our souls. The poet does not recognize the fact that Annabel is dead, and thinks that death is also unable to separate the two, love and death merge into one and become eternal in the country of fairy tales. In the whole poem, condensed words and pure feelings are perfectly combined. Annabel's favorite themes is combined with his own experience because Annabel's love for his wife is beyond doubt.
And now I will talk the beauty of the loneliness and the mystery. One of the most impressive symbolic words portrayed by the poet is the sea is mentioned many times in the poem, and more importantly, the sea connects everything. In the poem, the sea symbolizes loneliness, cold, and vastness. In the 31st verse, still the devil at the bottom of the sea. Paul describes the sea in another way. In this line, Paul does not mention the kingdom, but portrays the sea as the devil who forces him to separate from his beloved lover, heaven and man. As we mentioned above, the kingdom is a symbol of cruelty, and the symbolic meaning of cruelty is replaced by the sea. In our minds, the devil usually lives secretly in the dark, while here the devil lives on at the bottom of the sea, from which the sea is covered with the veil of darkness. Line 40. In the tomb of the sea, Annabel Lee's tomb is by the sea, and the sinister sea slaps her tomb mercilessly, which makes the reader realize that this is why the sea is a key intention to connect everything. The poet wrote for the last time that the sea is in her tomb by the sea in line 41. Perhaps coincidentally, the sea is the last word in the poem, where the sea naturally creates a sense of loneliness in the reader's mind.
Okay, guys, so this is our aesthetics of Alan Poe. So this is our presentation. Thanks for listening.